By completing this project, it allowed us to see many different aspects of what it would look like to be entering a global market, giving us insight into the way that companies are run and how it would look like to be managing one. In the beginning of the project, it was more challenging to figure out how to make our decisions. However, by the time we made it to the end of the simulation, we had figured out how the simulation worked and allowed us to be able to fine-tune the ways that our company was functioning in the markets. During the simulation, we entered 3 different markets: China, the Philippines, and Japan, and this allowed us to see what it would be like to enter these different markets and gave us the ability to see how the different markets reacted both to each other and just with the environment in general. One of the main mistakes that we made during the project was not realizing that the promotional and advertising budgets were done in the local currency and not USD. This made our budgets much lower than our competitors, and then after realizing that, we were able to go back and change how we were budgeting it and put it in the right currency. So after changing it to the correct currency, our brand equity was raised, and we were able to bring up our sales and the way that our company was being known in the environment and in each of our countries that we were a part of. So by advancing each of the rounds, we were able to increase our BEI and learn more about how the companies grow. Our group met multiple times, and each of the times that we met, we were completing the simulation, and we went through and wrote down all the changes that we made and analyzed how it affected our company's growth. Throughout the simulation, our unit and manufacturing sales were constantly growing. The only time that our BEI went down was in period 4, and this was right after entering Japan. And when looking at the industry news, we were able to attribute the fact that it went down to the way that the economy was going and the growth in all the Asian countries were constantly declining at that point. Our gross profit margin was lower than our sales during the whole simulation, and we weren't able to find a way to fix that. And that gross profit margin being lower than our sales means that we were spending more money than we actually sold. But from the readings that we had done before the international simulation, we were able to see that one of the reasons that this could happen is because of how expensive it is to enter an international market. And since we were still so fresh in the international market, we attributed it to that and didn't really be very worried about it. One of our main goals, though, was to consistently be able to raise our BEI, and besides that one period, we were able to do that consistently as well as raising our sales. I think that one of the main things that I learned during this project was how the international environment affects the way that your company functions in the market. It affects the way you react to the sales, how you promote things, how you add things to your production, and so many other factors that we looked at in the international project. I think that the ability to look at the environment and tell how things should change our strategy is one of the biggest things that we learned from it. This is definitely something that we can take into our future and continue to learn how things affect each other as we go out into the world and figure out how to manage things, whether we're managing people, managing budgets, or anything else that we could be managing as we graduate and go get jobs. I think that the main place that our group failed during the project was having a steady initial strategy with more detail. We had a general base strategy that allowed us to know what countries we were planning on entering, how to choose our pricing, but as I said before, we didn't know how to focus our promotional and advertising budgets and strategy, and didn't really plan that competitively, and it led us to be farther behind our competitors than we really would have wanted us to be. Our product choices also changed as we continued through the simulation. We were wanting to focus on only kids markets at first, but then realized that we should add in the more popular products as well to put our name out there and make us as a more competitive person in the market, a more competitive company in there. We did a good job at reacting to the markets and the international environment, like I said before, which gave us the ability to be really successful in our product and made our BEI, when I went back and looked at the simulation, it was the 4th highest out of our entire class. So overall, I feel that we did a good job considering that it was our first time completing any kind of project that was like this, and I think that the information we learned will lead us to be able to be better at any simulations that are like this that we encounter in the future.